Ever wonder about what life might be like behind the bars of the toughest prisons in the world? Brace yourself as we dive deep in this harsh reality. First on our list is the ADX Florence in the United States. Known as the Alcatraz of the Rockies, this maximum security federal prison is designed to house the most dangerous inmates. Here, the prisoners live in solitary confinement, spending 23 hours a day in a 7.5 by 12 feet cell. The 1 hour they're not confined, they're allowed to roam in a larger cage exercise, under the unrelenting surveillance of security cameras and guards. Meal times are strictly regulated, with breakfast served at 5 a.m., lunch at 12 p.m., and dinner at 4:30 p.m. The food, delivered through a slot in the cell door, is simple and devoid of any utensils that could potentially be used as weapons. As for work and education opportunities, these privileges are rare, granted only to the most well-behaved inmates. Among its infamous inmates are names like Unabomber Ted Kaczynski and Shoe Bomber Richard. Its stringent security measures and harsh living conditions, coupled with the rigorous daily routine, make it one of the toughest prisons in the world. Next, our journey takes us to Venezuela, to the infamous stronghold, La Sabaneta. Inside these daunting walls, the grim realities of life with an intensity that's difficult to fathom. The living conditions are exceptionally horrendous, well beyond the realms of brutal. Picture yourself being squeezed into a space designed for two but inhabited by dozens, sharing not just the cramped living area, also the thin, worn-out mattresses that serve as beds. Sleeping shoulder to shoulder, the inmates endure the nightmares of overcrowding. That's just the surface of the harsh conditions. The prison, infamous for its lawlessness, has witnessed some of the most serious prison riots in history. As for recreational activities, they are but a far-fetched dream. Any semblance of is usually in the form of makeshift card games or storytelling sessions, which also serve as a meager distraction from the relentless tension. In this unforgiving landscape, the convicts are abandoned to fend for themselves, with survival resting on primal instincts. Now we journey deep into the core of Syria, where the notorious Tadmor prison, a chilling testament to the absolute power of the state, looms ominously. This place, this symbol of atrocity, is permanently inked into the pages of history for its merciless regime. Nestled in the barren expanses of the desert, Tadmor was a name synonymous with inhumane conditions and horrific violence. Let's take a look into the daily life of the prisoners, most of whom were political dissidents, trapped in this living nightmare. Their quarters, the cells, were more like claustrophobic cages, cramped and suffocating, designed not for reformation but for humiliation and degradation. Sleeping conditions were harsh and inhumane. Inmates were crammed like cattle into narrow, unventilated cells with barely enough room to stretch out fully. Their mattresses were thin and worn, offering little comfort against the unyielding, cold stone floors. Mealtimes were a grim affair. The prisoners' diet consisted of meager rations, often stale and sometimes infested with vermin. Food was not a source of nourishment or comfort, but a further tool of dehumanization and control. Our final journey takes us to the clandestine state of North Korea, the location of the infamous Camp 22. This notorious prison is cloaked in obscurity and is believed to be one of the most severe detention facilities globally. Human rights organizations have reported on the grave conditions, forced labor, and brutal treatment of its detainees. The inmates are often incarcerated for political dissent, where they experience a daily life that is far from ordinary. Prisoners in Camp 22 are said to wake at dawn, to the blare of a harsh siren. Their sleeping quarters are cramped and unheated, often housing up to 30 people in a single room with little to no bedding. Meal times are strict, and the food provided is often insufficient, consisting of a portion of cornmeal and a watery soup. Starvation is rampant, and malnutrition common. The inmates are subjected to grueling labor tasks, including mining, logging, and working for over 12 hours a day, with little rest or reprieve. Testimonies of those that managed to escape present a disturbing image of life within the camp. These horrifying conditions render Camp 22 as one of the harshest prisons on Earth. If you found this journey intriguing, don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating insights from around the world.